Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Administration and Finance Committee meeting on September the 10th, 2024. I will now call on Rianne Kassar, Committee Clerk, to conduct a roll call. Rianne.
Thank you. Regional Chair Redmond.
Present.
Councillor Craig.
Present.
Councillor Deutschmann. Councillor Erb.
Present.
Councillor Foxton.
Present.
Chair Harris.
Here.
Councillor Hunick.
Present.
Councillor James.
Present.
Councillor McCabe. Present. Councillor Nowak. Councillor Salonen. Councillor Shantz.
Present.
Councillor Verbanovic. Councillor Williams. Councillor Wolf.
Present.
Okay, thank you, Rianne. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, presentations. John Mascaron, the Integrity Commissioner, is unfortunately unable to be here today, so that presentation will be rescheduled. And before we move on to any further business, I would like to acknowledge that the land on which we gather today is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and Chinantan peoples. We acknowledge the enduring presence of the Indigenous people with whom we share this land today, their achievements, and their contributions to our community. We have no delegations today. On the consent agenda, if you wish to remove an item from the consent agenda, please indicate so now, as we will not take questions. I believe we've got Councillor Deutschmann for one of those items.
Yeah, I'm just pulling it up. I think there was only one item in the consent agenda, so that's the one.
We will pull that one out. So we will. Do we have a mover at? Councillor Deutschmann, I don't know if you want to go right into questions on that. The Strategic Priority Resilient and Future Ready Organization, I believe Trish is here to speak to that report. Perhaps if there's questions, it is for information only, so there's no presentation, but if you have questions, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, yes, sorry, Mr. Chair, I'm just pulling it up. It's the one about our AAA credit rating, correct?
Correct.
So I just had some questions about the debt level, the charts that showed those municipalities with I don't know, something like 400%, and we're at 40%, and it just seemed like, are we perilously close to too much debt as a region? And just wanted to get some comment. That's one of the questions that I had.
Oh, hi, Lori. I didn't see it in there. So one of the two of you, if you want to jump in.
Through the chair. That would actually be a question for the Moody's analysts that we'd have to get back to you on. They'd be better suited to answer that.
Apologies. So you're saying we have to get back, and that's fine if you do. I just want to make sure I was clear in what I was asking, because I may not have been. It's just about the debt levels, and that we're at this 40% level, and other municipalities are at this 400% level. I believe I don't have the chart up yet, but so is that the issue that you'll get back to us on?
I believe Connie has a response or would like to chime in. Connie?
Thanks, and through the chair. I note that our previous Commissioner of Corporate Services and CFO talked about when we were meeting with Moody's on the credit rating that they did note our levels of debt as something to continue to monitor, but still decided to maintain our AAA credit rating. We are bringing a report back next month on our long-term fiscal sustainability, and we'll be able to dive deeper in there in terms of our debt levels and comment on that.
Councillor Deutschmann, do you have a follow-up that you'd like to ask?
Yeah, my apologies. In reviewing, and maybe this is something the clerk or someone from the department could help me with, is that you make annotations in these documents and then you leave and then you come back and the annotations don't seem to still be there. So I may not be doing it correctly, so I may need some guidance on that when I'm doing my homework in advance of council. So for a future discussion, just ask if someone could reach out to me and speak to me about that, how I can best annotate these records and have it saved and not lost later on. If I have any further questions, I will send them to Matu or somebody, or someone. I'll send them to Matu, and Matu will direct them to the appropriate person. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Councillor McCabe?
Thank you. And through you, Chair, just a couple of comments. This was a 2023 opinion and not a 2024. So I was wondering if we were getting a 2024 one or if there's always a lag in them.
Yeah, I believe we updated it on the agenda.
Oh, was it?
Trish,
Okay, I
do
missed that.
you want to speak to that?
Through the chair, the reporting and the evaluation that Moody's done aligns with our year end after our audit opinion has been issued. So normally they come in and they do a review each spring in about May. And so this was done last spring and they report back to us in the summer on the prior year, which would be the 2023 fiscal year. And so next spring, following our next audit, they will issue their opinion on the 2024 year. So it's a bit of an arrears.
Okay, no, it was just when I was reading through the reports on the weekend, I thought it was a year out of date, but I didn't see Chair Harris mention that there was an update sent around, but I didn't see that. So that was what my question was about. But then my other question was in the opinion that was there, it said that it referenced high levels of provincial and federal, operating funding, which shelter the region from inflationary pressures, et cetera. Do we consider that to be an accurate reflection of funding, of our funding levels from the feds and the province? Because I know we also, we also talk about the fact that right now we're funding about 22% off of our property tax of things that funding that should come from the federal government and the provincial government. So I'm wondering if we actually agree with Moody's assessment on, as they call it, a high levels of funding from the feds and the province. Thanks.
Go ahead, Laurie.
Through the chair, I think what that's referring to is when COVID happened, we got transfer funding to help with costs that we weren't expecting. And so that's where the feds and the province kind of stepped up and helped us through that. And so they're aware that unlike maybe other businesses, we have that funding that could come in to help us through some of those types of times.
Okay, that's helpful to know because that wasn't what was expressed in the opinion. So it might have been helpful if they had indicated that, because I think, what we've been talking about around the horseshoe here is that we're really looking for a lot more provincial and federal funding because we've got about 220 million that's being paid for off of our property taxes. 180 that we're covering that we believe really should be coming from the feds and the province. So I just thought that was a curious reflection in that opinion.
Right.
Councillor
So-
Fox, sorry.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Laurie, do you have a further response?
Sorry, through the chair. And so from Moody's perspective, they're looking at from a credit rating perspective of investors, and our likelihood of defaulting on a loan is lower because the likelihood of the province or the feds stepping up if we needed funding for something, if some extraordinary item happened, is highly likely, where that might not be in some other industries. So that's a strength for us.
Councillor Foxton.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. Would it be accurate to say that the Moody report cannot comment on 2024 because 2024 is not over, and therefore this is the 2023 assessment?
Through the chair, yes. However, their assessment does take in predictions based on whatever models they use, which are proprietary to them, on what they think our projections will be based on information we give them from our capital plan and our investment projections, reserve projections, and whatever other back-end analysis they do. So there is a projection in there, but you're right, it is based on the 2023
And the projection is
actuals.
probably based on the history and saying if we continue on the same path, then it will affect us tremendously. So I just wanted to clarify that they can't do 2024 until 2024 is over. Thank
That's
you.
correct.
Councillor Deutschmann?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yeah, so my concern is not so much default or what have you, it's the loss of the AAA credit rating is the concern, because for all area municipalities in terms of borrowing through the region, it's crucial that this AAA credit rating be maintained. And the item that caught my attention in the summary report from staff was at the bottom of page 1, the last bullet point, where it says the Moody's report acknowledges that ratings could be downgraded due to a sustained period of fiscal shortfalls if high levels of immigration and other macro challenges exacerbated its capital and social spending needs. And we know the challenges that we've been dealing with here at ground level at the municipality. It says a faster rise in debt than we currently project, corresponding with the material reduction in the region's liquidity levels, would also result in a downward pressure on the rating. So liquidity levels are basically our ability to pay things as debts come, as obligations come due. Like we're not talking about borrowing, we're talking about our ability to pay for things going. If you could just maybe explain that a little bit.
Through the chair. So liquidity is basically what our reserves are. And yes, that's how we pay potentially our debt. It's hard to say, like, if our debt goes up, it's never one thing, because there's other things that go up, like our revenues, our levies probably going up, our source revenues are going up because hopefully if there's more immigration, there's more people using the transit system. So there's offsets to that. So you can't really look at any one number on its own. And that's where I was saying some of their back-end analysis is proprietary knowledge. They don't really share it with us. They just share what their findings are and what their concerns are moving forward.
Yeah, and just last point, I noted at page 2 of 3, when it provides the debt to reserve ratio chart, on there I would say we're in the worst position of those municipalities that are noted there, correct?
Through the chair, that's correct.
Right, okay. So that's if we can't build up our reserves, then, and if funding isn't available to build up the reserves, that debt to reserve ratio could get worse.
Through the chair, that's correct.
Thank you. Okay.
I see no further questions on this. That was removed, so we will not require a vote on that. I will move to the regular agenda. 7.1, strategic planning, or excuse me, strategic priority, resilient and future-ready organizations. I'd like to call upon Terry Yancey, Acting Commissioner of Corporate Services, to speak to the report.
Thank you, Chair.
Did I skip something? No, go ahead.
No, thank you, Chair Harris. Shane Fetty is here to speak to this report from the Corporate Services Department, so I'd ask him to, if you have any questions, the report is for information.
This was also for information. There's no vote required. I don't see any questions on that one. I'll move on to 7.2, strategic priority, homes for all, public art for Langs Drive redevelopment. I call on Rod Regier, Commissioner Planning, Development and Legislative Services, to speak to this report.
Thank you, Chair Harris. This is a very exciting project. We have a significant residential development underway. I understand we just received building permits in the last day or two, and it's a major project, redevelopment of a low-density housing property that we have in Cambridge, and we are in the process of launching the construction of a 5- and 7-story residential building. This project before you today is a public art project. We do make public art, significant pieces of public art when they are in high traffic areas, important public places where there are opportunities to engage the community in art and in the creative process. We're looking here for support for the project from council. We've allocated $150,000 to the work. This is coming out of the Public Art Reserve, and and there's no additional impact on the tax levy. I will also add that the project is being shaped by the public art policy, which council has approved, and everything. The process will include significant community engagement with future residents of the development. I know that there was a presentation attached to it, but I think that presentation was there for information purposes. And I don't think that there's a need for us to go through the presentation today.
We do have a question, though. Councillor Foxon.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. So the diagram in the presentation where it shows the building and then the yellow facade, is that the public art?
The public art is on the street frontage, adjacent to the front entrance of the building. So it won't be the entire facade, it'll just be a portion.
No, but just the picture that you had in the diagram, is that it? It's in the presentation?
No.
No?
Hang on a second. Yeah, Julian is here, and he can speak to the...
Through the chair, in the diagram in the presentation, on the second, I think it's the last diagram, there's an outline on the sidewalk in red. It's about 6 by 2 meters. That's the area for the public art. So it's actually in front of, there's the yellow treatment on the facade of the concept art. It's actually on the sidewalk in front of that yellow treatment.
And it's red. I didn't see
It's
that.
outlined in red on the footprint.
All right. Thank you.
Councillor Deutschman.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yeah, and that's correct. The yellow is part of the building, and then the art to be determined will be in that area. Just two things I wanted to say. One, just pointing out as Commissioner Regier had just pointed out, that the funding is coming from the Public Art Reserve, and it's not impact on the tax levy. And this is money that was contributed to the reserve for this purpose. And I just wanted to also just take a moment on behalf of myself and Councillor Hunick to commend the community members of the Public Arts Committee for their good work. I'm very impressed. What's that? And diligence. And diligence, yes, thank you. I'm very impressed with the dedication that they have, the commitment, and the time that they take to make sure that we get it right, and the collaboration amongst the members is great to see. So just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Chair Redmond.
Thank you, Chair Harris. I just too want to say that I think this is an incredibly exciting project. And we all get emails from concerned citizens from time to time. I know Langs has a very important presence, and this is going to be enhanced in Cambridge. And Julian, I don't know if you know offhand how much money's in the reserve, but this is a policy that goes throughout the region, and this is meant to enhance the sense of place here. And I don't know if you want to comment sort of on the overall approach, because some people were assuming that this wasn't going to be as beneficial as we know public art can be and has been throughout the region.
Thank you. Through the chair, this is a great example of public art and how it should work. And public art in this particular instance, it's meeting all the criteria. It's a high traffic location, it's associated with the Youth and Child Center, it's across the street from a school. And so it has all those, all the potential to beautify and add to the sense of place there. And we know from many decades of doing public art that public art is an enhancement to a space. There'd be some concerns about, is there some kind of, does having the public art there bring some kind of stigma with it? And it's actually really quite the opposite. It really brings a sense of place and placemaking and enhancement there. I would have to check in terms of what the Public Art Reserve is sitting at. I believe it's around $900,000, so this is coming out of that.
Thank you very much for that clarification. I'm very excited to see what the winning piece of art looks like.
Councillor Craig.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate a lot of the comments. What I'm hearing in some parts of the community, and I have to be careful about this, is they see this $150,000 being used for public art at a time when people are having a lot of difficulty in terms of day-to-day and week-to-week grocery bills and everything else. Now, I know it comes out of a reserve. I know it's not going to impact taxes. The only problem is it sends a bit of a signal out there that when we're facing a 13% increase in regional taxes, possibly, it sends a bit of a mixed message. That's all my concern is. With regards to Langs, I have a long history with Langs, very supportive of it, supportive of public art in general, but I just think the timing of this is a bit difficult, that's all.
Councillor Deutschman. That's correct. Councillor Shantz. Thank you for being so
Thank you. I actually
courteous,
pressed it
Councillor
for Council Hunick, who would like to speak. She doesn't have her computer, so.
Thank you.
Okay, we're
just
going to
wanted
pass down even further. Councillor Hewitt.
Thank you, everyone, for your support today. I just want to note that not employing artists in our community also sends a really important message. And so I'm really, really glad that the Langs project is going forward, and I'm really excited to see this art project happen.
Councillor Erb.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm happy to move the motion, and I think that what the message does send to the community is that regardless of what the development is in the region, it all deserves public art, and this is a good example of equity throughout the region.
So we have a mover of the motion. Do I have a seconder? Councillor James, and I have 2 folks on the speakers list. Councillor Deutschman. True, you're just so, yeah, you're just so nice. You're just so nice today, Councillor Deutschman. Councillor Wolf.
Through you, Mr. Chair. I would strongly support this motion. I think that public art is important, and this is the time to build it. We're building the entire site, and I think for us to say that we shouldn't do public art, especially in front of affordable housing, would definitely send the wrong message. As we've been told, it's a perfect site for public art. It's a busy street. The school's across the street, and the youth center will be in the building. And I think that public art done well lifts our souls, inspires us. And we need hope, and we need that these days with an economy like we have. So again, I strongly support the motion.
Councillor Leggett.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I also support the motion. When the concerns from the public started coming in, it jolts you for a second, and you have to think, okay, we're spending $150,000 on art when there's such a need in the community, and we're at budget time and trying to put money into reserves, and here we are taking money out of reserves. But when I look at, I always think there should be another pillar in when we work, and it should be the infrastructure of the human spirit. For instance, we put flowers into flower beds instead of mowing everything down and planting all grass seeds, because as human beings, we need to see things of beauty, and this is Waterloo Region housing. So if this were a different area of our city, would people be so negative about it? And I don't think that they would. And I'm troubled by that because a lot of the conversation has to go with the actual location. I'm supportive of, no matter where you come from in life, that the equity happens. And I think that children that go to this community center or live in this area have the same benefits of art that everybody else should have in the community. So I'm extremely supportive of this.
And now over to you, Councillor Deutschman.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chair Harris. Yeah, I agree with all those comments. I just wanted to point out plainly and clearly that this has zero impact on the tax levy, and it's incorrect to equate this to the 13% tax increase issue that we are facing. Those are totally and wholly separate issues. The $150,000 comes out of a reserve that is specific for public art. Not spending that money will not have any impact on the challenges, and I appreciate the challenges that the subcommittee dealing with the 2025 budget has on this issue, but just clearly and plainly, no connection between those two items with respect to this matter. Thank you.
Sounds like we're ready to go for a vote. We've a motion moved by Councillor Erb, seconded by Councillor James. We'll go over to eScribe and we'll get this done. Okay, colleagues, that is carried. We do have information and correspondence, the council committee tracking list, 8.1. Is there any other business? Our next meeting will be on October the 8th, 2024. We will now ask for a motion to adjourn. Councillor Foxon, seconded by Councillor Wolf. We're going to be closer for you, Councillor Wolf, tonight. Please use your yes or no in eScribe. And that is carried. We'll take a few minutes and we'll call upon Mr. Erb up to chair our next committee.